Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Mandy and I am participating in a collab today. So if you're new, join me from the collab. I just want to introduce myself. I live in Arizona. I have 3 children, 2 still living at home, 1 halfway out the door, and I live with my wonderful husband here in Arizona. So today is a collab, Freeze It February. This collab's being put on by Lynn over at Bucket List Homestead. Thank you so much, Lynn, for inviting me to join you in this collab. So this collab is about freezer meals. Now, when Lynn asked me if I would join in this collab, I said, oh, you know, my family's getting smaller. We don't really eat a lot of freezer meals. And she said, you know, that's great because this collab is all about smaller portions, smaller freezer meals, maybe smaller portions, maybe 1 or 2 a day. We're not doing the all out all day long freezer meals. We're doing some small freezer meals just to throw in the freezer and have ready to go for when we need them. So Lynn is doing a giveaway during, I think at the beginning of March, she's gonna do a live and there's gonna be a giveaway. So to enter in the giveaway, there's a couple different prizes. All you have to do is watch the videos in this collab and comment, and at the end, she's going to do a random draw of all the people that commented in all the videos. Every video you watch and comment in, the better your chances are to win something. There's some awesome prizes. All of them have to do with freezer meals, so you're gonna love them. All right, so today I am gonna make some breakfast sandwiches. My husband and my son both get up and go to work in the morning, and it's nice to have something quick and easy and ready to go. So first, let me show you how I made English muffins for today's breakfast sandwiches. All right, we are gonna start with half a cup of warm water, and to that we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar and a packet of yeast, or 2 1/4 teaspoons. We're going to mix that up and just let it sit on the counter and get all bubbly. Now, while we're waiting on that, to my KitchenAid mixer, I'm going to add 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, and I'm just going to mix those together until they're both incorporated. Now we're going to add in that yeast mixture. As you can see, it's gotten all bubbly and it's doing its job. You can see here I have the dough hook attachment on. You're going to want the paddle attachment if you're using your KitchenAid for this recipe. I did go ahead and heat up my 3/4 of a cup of milk, and I'm adding 1 large egg, and then I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of butter. The recipe does call for the butter to be melted. I just didn't catch that until later. So you're going to mix that all together. Again, with your paddle attachment, you're going to start out on low and then work your way up to medium and let it pretty much beat or knead this dough for 7 minutes. Now, the recipe says that this dough is going to be very wet, but as you can see, this is more of like a batter consistency. It is cloudy here, it's raining. It always changes the way your dough turns out when the weather is off. So I am going to go ahead, I end up adding a 1/2 cup of flour to this just to make it more like a dough instead of a batter, because we are going to have to work with this at the end. So you're going to see I just added a 1/4 of a cup, and I'm going to go ahead and add another 1/4 of a cup, and then I left it at that. I thought that was good enough. All right, so you can see here, this is a little bit more like a dough that we, eventually we'll be able to work with. I think it's just a very hydrated dough. It's supposed to be very sticky and wet like this, and trust me, it turns out in the end. So that's it for this dough. I'm gonna scrape it all off this paddle attachment and kind of just work it off the sides of the bowl and I'm going to cover it with a towel, and we're going to let this rest for 1 hour until it doubles in size. All right, now I just have a piece of parchment paper laid out here on my counter just for easy cleanup. I went ahead and floured it very liberally because this dough is very wet. So I don't know if you could tell there, but it did double. So I'm gonna go ahead and plop it out onto this piece of parchment paper. I'm gonna fold it over onto itself a few times just so that, like I said, it's a little bit easier to work with. And then we're just going to kind of pat it out with our hands, and we're going to cut this into circles. I have a biscuit cutter, and I'm going to go ahead and use that just to cut it. Yeah, turns out great. So I got this little, it's like a paint scraper, I think. Anyway, I got this off of Temu. It works really well for keeping your hands out of really wet dough like this, or for scraping a bowl or something. But just keep folding that dough over, add a little bit of flour. You don't want to add too much flour because, like I said, it's supposed to be a wet dough, but you also have to be able to maneuver the little rounds that you cut out onto a cookie sheet so that they can rise again. So I'm just going to kind of play with it a little bit. Make sure your hands are floured, the top is floured, and then I'm just going to pat it out. I think that I should have maybe rolled it out a little bit thinner. You don't need to roll it. It's very soft. I should have patted it down a little bit thinner. It would have been larger. I probably could have made more circles, but it worked out fine. I just cut out my English muffins, put them on a cookie sheet, and then I worked the dough back into a ball, flattened it out again, and cut out some more. All right, so I have a cookie sheet here with some parchment paper. I am going to just sprinkle some cornmeal on the bottom. I just want to make sure that each English muffin is sitting on top of the cornmeal so it doesn't stick to anything. All right, and then I'm just going to very carefully set these English muffins on this cookie sheet. They're very soft. The edges are super sticky, so just try to keep your hands well floured. And when they're all on the cookie sheet, I'm going to dust the tops with cornmeal so that when we cook them in the skillet, both sides have cornmeal and nothing's going to stick to the pan. All right, we're going to cover these and let them rise for 30 minutes. All right, now while those are rising, I'm going to get my meat ready. I just prefer cooking my bacon out on our Blackstone. We are just blessed enough to have this right outside our back door. And I have 3 sausage patties left. Those are just the Great Value frozen sausage patties. They're really good on breakfast sandwiches. And I'm cooking up a whole bunch of bacon because I just really enjoy having cooked bacon ready to go whenever we need it for something. I also enjoy cooking bacon out here because it cooks so fast. There's like no waiting time. You better have a plate ready to go because it's going to be done before you have time to go in the house and grab one. All right, I'm going to take off this bacon and sausage and take it in the house. I just pop it in the microwave until we're ready to use it. Also, to you ladies out there, a little reminder, if you're outside using your husband's toys, make sure you clean it up afterwards or you're going to hear about it. All right, so when I went back and looked at the recipe and the instructions, it says, put your English muffins on a hot pan. Well, I had no idea what that meant, so I went ahead and Googled how hot your pan should be when you're cooking English muffins, and it said medium, medium-low. I have a propane stove, and it gets hot. So I have this on about a 4, I think. Medium, just under medium is a 4. So that's what I'm going with. I fit 4 in my pan. I put a lid on it. I set my timer for 5 minutes. It said 5 to 6 minutes per side. All right, so because this was my first time and I was a little unsure about how hot the pan should be, I think I checked these at like 2.5 minutes. It was, you know, halfway through the 5 minute mark. And I just wanted to check all the bottoms to make sure nothing was burning. They did seem to be getting a little bit brown, so I went ahead and flipped them over. A spatula was not working in this tight space, so this fork actually worked perfectly. You can see the bottoms are nice and brown and they're puffing up really well. I was really happy with how these turned out. So I'm going to put the lid back on and I'm going to leave them for 3 minutes now instead of 5 because I just need to. And also, I believe I turned the stove down to 3 if you have a propane stove and a little dial knob that has numbers on it like I do. This is a 3. So 5 to 6 minutes on each side would be roughly 12 minutes. So I did 3 minutes on each side, and then I went ahead and flipped them again and did 2 more minutes on each side. I know it's a lot, but I just kept flipping them until I thought they had cooked long enough. Sometimes I check my bread with a thermometer, and I think around 200 is good for bread, so I figured that was good for these English muffins. I went a tiny bit longer just to make sure none of them were gummy or undercooked in the center, and it worked out really, really well. All right, so on my stove, I have them on a 2, which is just 1 up from the lowest setting. This front burner is my hottest burner, so just take that into consideration. It does not have to be very hot, especially if you're using a heavy cast iron pan like I am, but I don't think I'd ever use a different skillet because this one worked so well. Again, I'm just flipping them a couple of times, leaving the lid on. Like I said, turned out perfectly. All right, so I'm gonna get these 4 out of the pan. I'm just checking the bottoms to make sure. Again, I'm just worried that I'm gonna burn them. So you can see they're not burnt. I think they look good. I think they look like a homemade English muffin should, and they're so fluffy and tall. I'm super happy. So you want to wipe all this cornmeal out of the bottom of the skillet because if you leave it in here, it will end up burning. So I just took a dry brush and brushed mine out, and then I took a paper towel and just wiped out anything else that was left in the pan and went ahead and got some more English muffins going. All right, so like I said, I did 3 minutes, flipped them over, 3 more minutes, flipped them over, 2 minutes, flipped them over again, 2 more minutes, and that seemed to work perfectly on that number 2. These turned out just as good as the first ones. I think if I ever do this again, I will do a bigger batch because this was a little bit time consuming. All right, so now that I have made my English muffins, now, like I said, we're not huge on freezer meals. I could wrap these up and freeze them like this, and it would be a freezer meal, right? Like I pre-baked them and they're ready to go for breakfast. You could just toast it and put some jam on it or some peanut butter or a piece of ham, and somebody could walk out the door. What I'm gonna do is slice them all open. I'm gonna put some of that bacon or sausage on top of it. Now, a lot of the people in my family don't like egg. If you like egg, go ahead and cook up your egg however you like it to add on to these. These are gonna be super simple today. I'm gonna add some bacon or sausage, a piece of cheese, and I'm going to wrap them up and get them ready to go in the freezer. That's gonna be it. So let's go ahead and make these freezer breakfast sandwiches. All right, I'm sorry if you can hear the air fryer going in the background. It's just real life here. So here is how the English muffins turned out. They're really tall. Yeah, so I'm gonna cut them open. I have the oven on broil. I think I just didn't roll them out thin enough, but you know, if you want yours a little thinner, you can roll them out a little thinner. Not a lot of bubbles in mine, but I may not have let them rise long enough after I cut them. I don't know. I couldn't tell if they had doubled. It had just been half an hour, so I cooked them. Maybe they should have rose a little bit longer. But I'm actually gonna toast one of these up. We're gonna try it out. They look great. I mean, that's pretty good for first time homemade English muffin. They did get a little dark. It looks a little darker on camera. I know everybody says that, but it really does. But anyway, I don't think I'm gonna make sandwiches out of all of these. We'll see. We'll see how many I can fit on this baking tray, because I wanna toast them up under the broiler, because when we eat breakfast sandwiches, we like them to have to be toasted lightly. Just makes them taste better. So I'm gonna cut some of these open and lay them on here, and then I'm gonna toast one in the toaster and taste it, because oh, I just can't wait. They smell like bread. It did say that if you wanted a stronger tasting English muffin, you could let them, in the first rise, you could let it like ferment in the fridge. The longer the better, but I wasn't doing that this time. You can also make sourdough English muffins, which I wanted to try this out for my first time, and I think they turned out really good. So I'm gonna pop these under the broiler for a second while I toast one up in the toaster so I can taste it. All right, here is the English muffin. I was gonna put some honey on it, but I wanted to taste it before I put honey on it. I just used this. I can't believe it's not butter, because that's what I use. So here it is. You can see it's got quite a bit of holes, like an English muffin. It's good. It's not as chewy, like an English muffin has a little bit more chew to it, but it doesn't taste like a piece of toast either. It's good. It's gonna make good breakfast sandwiches. All right, I think our English muffins are toasted. Let's get them out. All right, here they are. They're all nice and toasted. Again, I'm gonna go in with the spray butter just because it's so easy. All right, now I'm gonna top probably 4 of those with cheese. I'll probably leave 2 without cheese in case someone doesn't want it. And I didn't mention as well, I like to take these out of the fridge or freezer and fry an over easy egg and add it on it when I'm ready to eat it, rather than freezing the egg. So that's an option too. All right, I got a piece of American cheese on 4 of them. And like I said, we don't need a ton of freezer meals, but this is plenty for the week, and I'm really happy with this. All right, and I have the sandwiches all packed up for the freezer. I put them in individual sandwich bags and then into a gallon bag. You don't have to do this. This is just the way that I do it. So if you are looking to save time, save money, make up some breakfast sandwiches. They really save my life in the morning when I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock and make my husband breakfast. So that's going to be it for today. There is going to be a Freeze It February link down in the description box that goes to the playlist of all the channels participating. Don't forget to go and comment on all the videos so that you can be entered in to win one of the prizes. That's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.